Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling. I am turned up for today's interview. So today is a unique situation. We are coming live here on Zoom by way of then YouTube. But this is Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, and I'm your host, Angela Jordan Perry. And so this is a platform that gives voice to the African homeschooling diaspora, where we say hashtag we homeschool too. And we have I give the opportunity for these beautiful melanated families to share their successes, their triumphs, their victories, their resources, their insights, their advice and nuggets with you all to encourage you that you can do it or stay in the journey of homeschooling as possible. You're going to be the best advocate for your own child. So this is what this platform is for. And today I have our guest out of Florida. Her name is Charlene Favorite. So everyone, yay, hi Charlene. So I'm going to tell you more about Charlene in a little bit, but let me tell you a bit about myself. So I'm a homeschooling mom of 18 years, of 8 children, married for 26 years, and we make our home in the northwestern part of the state of South Carolina, where we are small, self-sustaining farmers, okay? So my passion-driven, purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. I do that in part right here on Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling. I do that on the podcast, Girlfriends Chat. And if you're not connected, just look on any of your podcast favorite locations and look for Girlfriends Chat with Angela Jordan Perry. And I also display my purpose-driven life on educating our own. You can learn more about that at www.edourown.com. Now, in the state of South Carolina, my purpose-driven life is also displayed in what I do as an Option 3 director. I give families legal rights to homeschool in this state of South Carolina. So as you can see, I'm all things homeschool, and then I throw in essential oils and healthy living and vegan living and that type of thing. So I am so glad to have you here on the show, and I look forward to continuing this journey. Thank you for making this a successful platform. The Facebook page is growing and the YouTube channel is growing, and educating our own, we are growing because it's just starting. So thank you. So enough about me. Let me tell you about our guest, Charlene. Can you hear me, Charlene?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So are you ready to make it happen?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So let me tell you all about Charlene Favorite. Charlene is a young, cultural, and Southern woman living in the state of Florida. She is married to her amazing husband, and together they have 3 beautiful children, ages 4, 3, and 2. So although many would consider her a rookie in the field of homeschooling, Charlene has been getting the swing of homeschooling for the past 3 years. So that's since her oldest has been 1, almost 2. Amazing, right? Charlene's form of homeschooling for her little ones takes the whole brain child into consideration with each lesson. And she's going to break that down for us completely. So Charlene believes that the fundamentals of a loved and nurtured early grade experience can lead to generational success. You can connect with Charlene at the www.fascinatingwife.com. That information is in the show notes. And you can also find her on Facebook and Instagram under Fascinating Wife. So Charlene, I have just told the girlfriends a little bit about yourself. If there's more to share, please do. And then tell us how you actually got started in homeschooling, what formulated your why for homeschooling your children so young.
Okay. Well, it started when I was looking at this interview or listening to this interview by Erykah Badu a long time ago. And one of the questions that the interviewee was asking was, what is her homeschooling plans or her schooling plans? And her child, I think her youngest child was like 9 months at the time. And her response was, it's time for her to start her homeschooling journey. She's 9 months, and that's when we start homeschooling the kids. And this was before I even had any kids. And I'm like, wow, 9 months? And it was around that time where My Baby Can Read was out, or I think Your Baby Can Read was out. And so when I actually got pregnant and had my first son, I knew I wanted to homeschool. So from there, I started looking into different resources, and I ended up reaching out to a holistic homeschool provider in the state of Chicago, I believe. And she sent me all these books and resources about what I should be reading just to get my mind ready, not only for homeschooling, but for parenting. And the parenting aspect easily flowed into the homeschooling aspect, which is how I kind of use the conscious parenting in the setting of the homeschooling environment that I created. So it started from there, and ever since I've just been kind of learning the psychology of the brain for children and adults, the retention of children, and it just grew from there and just expanded to a knowledge that I knew I wanted to teach my children.
And so when you got started, was it an easy transition? How was it when you actually, okay, we're starting. Today is D-Day. We're going to start homeschooling. What was it like? Tell us that experience.
It was a very easy transition. I almost didn't even see it as homeschooling, because when I was during that time, I was looking into a lot of homeschooling communities on Facebook. And I would tell people, hey, my child is 1 and I'm homeschooling. And they're like, you're not homeschooling until your child is 7 and until you get to real subjects. And my response was, okay, but I'm still the teacher. I'm the teacher now, and I will be the teacher forever. So technically, I've been homeschooling since the first day my child was here. But because there is different backlash in the homeschooling community, I just kept to my sources on what the holistic teacher gave to me in the beginning, and just used that as a basis for a lot of my homeschooling material. So when my son was 1, and before I even started the homeschooling journey, I created a preparatory curriculum. Sounds crazy, right? It was a preparatory curriculum where we repeated things for 2 weeks at a time. We repeated the same poems, the same books. We had themes for the week. And even though he was 1, he was sucking in all of that information. After just a month, I seen that he was retaining more information than I thought he would be retaining. So he was learning different nature things. We were always out in nature. And it allowed him to kind of excel higher than what I expected. So by the time my second child came, I kept that preparatory curriculum, and I mapped it out from 18 months all the way to 24 months. And then I did another form of preparatory curriculum until they got to a different age. So I've been doing that part by myself from the beginning.
Wow. Charlene, I'm like blown away. Who are you? You're an alien from another place. What in the world?
I know. I know.
I'm really blown away. And I tell you, wow, I'm so super impressed. That's all I can say on that. I didn't even know when I said we're going to do this interview what all you had to bring to the plate and what you had to share. And it's just beautiful that you had the mindset again to be like, this is what I'm going to do. Parents, we homeschool our kids from when they're little, from when they're babies. We're teaching them, we're educating them. And that is exactly the mindset that we should have. I mean, we always are teaching them something, how to say their ABCs or their colors or their numbers, how to hold a pencil, where your nose is, where your eye is, where your head. I mean, we're always teaching them. So at what point do we get to where we feel like we're not capable or we're not confident in our abilities to continue to educate our children? Mm-hmm. So way to go, and to have the idea that you're going to start at 1 year old and keep moving forward. I'm just like,
thank you.
Just blown away. All right. Well, let's share this with the girlfriends, because this is my favorite question, because it brings us back to this humanness that many can identify with. So although you had this great start to homeschool, you really never started. You kind of just kept doing it and transformed it. But take us to when it was your worst time of this journey of homeschooling that you just felt like, what am I doing? I cannot do it. I'm going to quit. This is not for me. What am I thinking? Take us to that moment where maybe those thought processes came, but you didn't quit. You didn't stop. You didn't halt. And, this is why you're this amazing homeschooling mom that you are today.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that started not that long ago, actually. When I got more involved as my children started to get older, we were going to the park and doing a lot of nature activities, and I would see homeschooling communities, like big groups of women together with their children who were a part of a bigger co-op. And there's a few in my area, and we would join, and there was a lot of, again, kind of backlash from different parents. Some were really stuck on curriculum. They're like, no, curriculum this, curriculum that. We can't veer from this. Some were like, why are you teaching your children anything? They should just be playing. So it was a lot of different opinions. And it was kind of hard in the beginning because I felt like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I am being attuned to my child and what my child is capable of handling. So when I would say things to old friend girls that I had, I would be like, yeah, I'm doing some work on the curriculum this week. I'm changing it up. And they're like, you're changing it up every 2 weeks. Like, that's not real homeschooling. That's not what it's about. We're supposed to stick to one thing and kind of teach them what they're supposed to know based on subjects. And so I had to get to a point where I realized it's not necessarily about the subjects that we're teaching, but the way that they're feeling when we're teaching those subjects. Because right now I can cover, believe it or not, 10 subjects in one day, and they will be receptive. They will be receptive of it. They will be able to retain it. And they're having a great time. So it's all about being in tune and finding your truth on how you decide to navigate that homeschooling. I kind of even hate the label of homeschooling because at the end of the day, I'm only guiding my children. They're really teaching me. They're teaching me a lot. And as I continue on to this journey, I'm learning more about psychology. It's almost like a requirement, right? Or it should be a requirement to have kids. Psychology is really important. I'm learning how they are just able to talk to me and talk to one another, and how they are transforming their own mindset just off of the information that they're learning. So that was my moment of having to just kind of level out and go off of what I felt deep inside.
Yeah, beautiful, Charlene. I'm so proud of you. Dang. You're such, I'm so proud of you. Wow, that's all I can say. I'm just really proud. Congratulations, kudos to you for being this young homeschool mom, if you will, young, meaning your kids are young and you have figured this out. So take us contrastly to that. What has been your most memorable day of homeschooling or time or phase of homeschooling where you're like, maybe it brings you to tears, it gets you emotional, where you think about, this is why I do what I do right here. This is why we made this decision. Share that experience with us, Charlene.
I think just when my children interact with other children, that's when I see it most. Because I find my children to be really compassionate, and they're very aware of their surroundings and pretty much in tune to anyone that they meet. And sometimes I look back and I say, wow, this is why I homeschool. This is why I stay at home with my children, because of the influence that I have on their lives. I just don't feel comfortable handing that influence over to someone else for most of the day. So that's my aha moment. And then my second one, honestly, will be when we are doing our encyclopedia knowledge cards. And so it's a program that I do with my children based off of the Doman method, but Marcus Klein actually does it also at his schools that he has established. And it is a form of injecting your children really with encyclopedia knowledge. And that knowledge is very vast. And so when we're flipping through those cards and we're going through those cards maybe in 10 seconds, the way that they're retaining information, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. and you're only 4 and you're only 3 and you're doing it. So just wait until you're older. What will happen then? Like my oldest son is already reading almost at a 2nd grade level. Like what happens then? So it's one of those, I'm so happy I'm doing this moment, and I feel like it's allowing them to think critically. Even though they're young, they're able to kind of think critically on their young level of life, more consciously aware of what's around them.
Absolutely. Wow. Girl, you're just too much. Just amazing, 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 amazing. Well, look, all of you who are joining in now at this point, this is Girlfriends Has Got to Homeschooling, and I have this amazing mom who is homeschooling 3 of her children. Their ages are 4, 3, and 2. 4, 3, and 2. Just stair steps all the way down, girl. You're busy.
Yeah.
And so she is sharing her journey, and I just pray that you all are hearing what she's saying and take these nuggets and you all just chew upon them and consider them for yourself, especially if you're homeschooling or about to homeschool children this young. I have been contacted with so many that has the same age as you, Charlene, and they are asking, saying they're preparing, they're looking at all these videos because they're taking in the nuggets. So I have no doubt that, again, Charlene, you going to want to replay this and allow this truth and this wisdom to just settle down in your thought processes as you prepare to homeschool. So thank you, Charlene. It's so great. So you all be sure to share this, pass on this link to others who are homeschooling, post it on your page, let others know about Girlfriends Got to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, and you're going to be so enriched to educate your own. I just love it. So Charlene, on this part of our show is where we I ask you some questions to pick your brain. You can give, short answers, what have you. If they need to be elaborated upon, that's fine. But these are meant to be short answers, okay? So here we go. What is your favorite quote or mantra that has helped you through your homeschooling journey so far?
Believe it or not, that comes from conscious parenting. So it comes from that book again that I mentioned before, Dr. Shafali. And it's not even necessarily a quote because I can't really quote her exactly, but it is an idea that she has, that being actively in tune with your child at whatever point that they're in and accepting him or her for where they are, being in tune with them can really change their perspective and really change your perspective and allow you to grow. Because so many times when we think of homeschooling, we think of control aspects. We think of, okay, how am I controlling my child? At this time we have to do this, at that time we have to do that. There's this subject that needs to be done, and it's all about control. And control is something that's not necessarily looked highly upon for young seeds. So staying in tune, I think, is a mantra that I really use for our homeschooling journey.
Wow. Do you plan to homeschool all the way through to the end?
I do. I do plan to homeschool all the way through to the end until they are able to teach themselves and kind of formulate their own coursework.
Gotcha. What is something that's unique to the Favorites homeschooling that you like? This is what we do. You're very proud of that. Maybe other families don't do, maybe they do, but share something that's your creative niche in your homeschool family.
Okay, so in our homeschool family, we mix up different types of methods to learning. So there's Montessori that you always hear about. There's the regular mainstream methods. There is Waldorf methods. There's just methods of a lot of free play and unschooling. And so I like to think that the method is all of them in one. Or if I was really trying to define it, I'll say that it can't really be defined and it cannot be fit into a tiny little box. So it's, I can't say it's eclectic either. But it's almost all of those methods in one that works for our family.
Beautiful. What is a curriculum or a book or resource that you have in your personal home library that you feel like every family that's part of the African homeschooling diasporic community should have?
Okay, I have a ton. I'm going to share them quickly with you.
Okay.
The first one is the conscious parent. It allows you to kind of revamp your mindset about where you are with your child, and it will help in your homeschooling journey, especially for those who are starting off as young as me. I do feel like if you're interjecting just something positive, a positive experience, it will lead to generational success and generational wealth, and that's not necessarily money, but just knowledge. The next one is the spiritual child, and these are not necessarily African-American authors, but they are very informational, and they do teach something that we should all be learning. The next one is, one second, this one here. And so this kind of puts together spirituality and parenting, but really it kind of combines a way to homeschool, because it is about staying present with your children. So not necessarily controlling them, but, and then I have some, I guess they're called nugget books. This is what I kind of use. The Peaceful Classroom, and there are 162 easy activities to teach preschoolers compassion and cooperation. Okay. It's something that I got before my son was born, but it's something I've been using. The values book, and this is how I kind of make a basis on what's important for me. It's teaching 16 basic values to young children, all the way from commitment, cooperation, fairness, loyalty, all the way down to self-reliance. And then the last one that I recommend here is the kindness curriculum. It's 94 character building activities for a peaceful and supportive learning environment that I've used in my home. And this goes over yoga techniques. It goes over how to basically guide your child to be self-regulated. A lot of people who are parenting and who are teaching children around my age deal with a lot of tantrums. And so this kind of curriculum book kind of goes over techniques that will help you out.
Beautiful. You came prepared. That was good. A good list. A good list. So tell me, what has been the best piece of advice that you've received since you have been homeschooling?
This is going to sound so cliched, but do what works for you and your family. Please think about the values and whatever you're interjecting into your child from when they're young or whatever point that they are. Just be careful and mindful of that, because it will foster later on in life. And so that's why my whole homeschool journey has really been on peace and cooperation and compassion, because I don't just want to teach subjects, I want to teach my children character building skills as well.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Do you have a favorite app or online resource or website or anything like that that you can share with the girlfriend, Charlene?
I don't have an app. I've been looking up some things on Instagram. There's a lot of people that share amazing, useful tips, but I don't have just one source. I usually just stick to the book that I mentioned, and if I see something I like, I just go from there. But Pinterest is always a good place for activities.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's absolutely lots of activities on Pinterest. All right, well, here's our last question, the $1 million question. Are you ready, Charlene?
I'm ready.
Well, I don't know how difficult this might be or challenging, but let's see. So if you had to start all over again, back to whenever that day one was that you considered you were homeschooling, or if you want to say that terminology, I put it in quotes because what you said was so beautiful. You just never stopped teaching your kids, your children, from when they came out your womb. So I'm going to say homeschooling. So if you had to start all over again, back to that day one or whatever that was, but you have your current wisdom, knowledge, experience, skills, insights, what would be the first thing you'd be sure to change this time around? Or what would be the first thing you'd be sure to implement if you've got a chance to start all over again?
I honestly wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. It's meant to be from where I was at the point that I was at. And so having 3 children who are stairs, 4, 3, and 2, I'm able to kind of go back and tweak some lessons or tweak some things about how I did in the past. But really, everything pretty much stays the same. And it doesn't mean that I'm at that level of perfection, but I'm at that level where I'm comfortable in what I was teaching them in the beginning.
Yeah. All right. So this is a question I have to ask you, and only because you got this 4-3-2 deal going on with these little ones. And so, and I get this question asked all the time. When you're schooling one, what are you doing with the little one who's roaming and moving? Or how do you keep the balance between these different ages of stages? You know, what does that look like for you, Charlene? Superwoman mom?
In the beginning, I was still kind of overwhelmed because I had my second son trying to do something different, and it was just all over the place. But now what I do is I still involve them. And even though they're at different levels of understanding, they still feel involved. Now, for my daughter who's 2, she does a lot of sensory bends, and so that helps us kind of maintain because she likes to be almost too involved, but that does help us maintain.
Okay, so she's involved in sensory bend, and then your other ones, you have them together engaged. How long is your schooling day, or is it like learning throughout the day? What does that look like?
Well, I have this list, right, that I printed out because I thought I was going to be able to show you guys. But this is like a basis of the day. And this is just a ballpark time figure that I would like to do everything by. So usually it doesn't last too long because we're doing each subject for 15 minutes. So we're able to breeze by a lot of things. So I would say 2 hours at the most. And usually I'm breaking it up in between so that I can cook or have lunch and do story time with them, just interjecting different play times with them, but about 2 hours.
Okay, beautiful. All right. Well, any last words of advice you want to give to the girlfriend, Charlene? And then please let us know what you're involved in so that this village can come and connect and support what you're doing.
Okay. Last word of advice, do what makes you feel more comfortable, and please don't be pressured or feel pressured by those who are trying to push their own agenda. You can find me at thefascinatingwife.com, where I actually have classes for women who are married or married-minded and teaching them the art of femininity and how to connect with their husband. So that's something that I do for fun, part-time.
Wow, beautiful. Art of femininity. I love it. So you will be sure to check with what Charlene has gone on fascinatingwife.com, and the same is on Instagram and on Facebook. So it's beautiful. So, well, listen, girlfriends, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, and this half hour or almost an hour, you have been hanging out with Charlene Favorite out of Florida, homeschooling mom of ages 4 and 2. She is making it happen, and then she's giving back into the community in this femininity, fascinating wife that she has going on. And so if I can tell you, I'm blown away and I'm touched and I'm moved to see such a young mom making things happen and making this determination and not worried about what others thinking. She is doing her thing and figuring it out. So you all connect with Charlene. If you want to continue the conversation and ask her questions, all of her contact information will be in the show notes. Be sure to do that, okay? So you all be sure to continue to connect with other positive moms who are homeschooling, who's going to make that positive impact in your life. And just like Charlene said, it makes a difference in who you're around and who you listen to, because their thought processes will get into your head. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily right for you. It's right for them. Charlene said that's so beautiful. And be bold to stand in your own truth. She said that too. I didn't steal that. She said it. Okay, I didn't say that. So beautiful. So Charlene, thank you so much for giving up your time, your energy, your wisdom, and coming and sharing your journey of homeschooling with the girlfriends. So Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling thanks you and appreciates you for all that you're doing and how that you have shared today. So thank you so much, Charlene.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no problem, no problem. So listen, girlfriends, as always, as I say, remember that to teach a child is to touch a life. And as we homeschool, we not only touch a life, we shape the future. Charlene said we are building this space of generational wealth and generational knowledge and you're building that, so we're touching this life through our efforts of homeschooling. So keep making a positive impact day after day and year after year. It's going to be so worth it. So remember that, girlfriends, okay? So all the resources that I shared with you, be sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. Check out the podcast on all platforms, Girlfriends Chat. Go to the website at www.edourown.com. And also that is on Facebook and on Instagram, Educating Our Own. Get connected. My purpose is to educate you and empower you to homeschool your own children well, confidently, and with all the resources and tools that you need to do so, okay? All right, so until next time, we will see you soon. Take care. Thanks, Charlene. We'll see you soon, girlfriend.
You're welcome. Bye.